I'm sharing with you how to make these soft and fluffy spiced pumpkin cupcakes topped with tangy cream cheese frosting. Welcome to Recipes by Karina, where I show you how to make classic and simply delicious recipes. Make sure to subscribe for a new video each week. To make these pumpkin cupcakes, first start off with the dry ingredients. In a medium-sized mixing bowl, add a sieve and measure out the flour. You'll need 1.5 cups or 190 grams of standard all-purpose or cake flour. If you would like the full recipe for these pumpkin cupcakes, it will be on my website, as well as the full measurements in the description box below. You'll notice I give the recipe measurements in metric and imperial, cups, grams and ounces, so no matter where you're from, it'll be simple and easy to follow this recipe. To rise the cupcakes and give them that light and fluffy texture, we'll need baking powder and baking soda. You'll need to use both in this recipe. There isn't really an option to substitute one for the other, as the cupcakes don't contain enough acid for just baking soda. You'll need 1 teaspoon of baking powder and half a teaspoon of baking soda. I would say pumpkin cupcakes and anything pumpkin flavoured may be more about the spices than they are about the actual pumpkin, so you want a good mix. You can use bought pumpkin spice here if you have it on hand. Most will have around the same flavour, but different brands do have their own recipes. If you're using pumpkin spice, you'll need 2 teaspoons worth, or if you have a well-stocked spice collection, you can easily make your own. You'll need a teaspoon of cinnamon, half a teaspoon of nutmeg and ginger, and finally a 1/4 teaspoon of ground cloves for the perfect blend. Add all your spices to the mixing bowl and use the sieve to remove any lumps. Let me know in the comments below what your favourite pumpkin flavoured foods are. I've only just tried pumpkin cupcakes and pumpkin pie over the past few years and I am fully hooked. These cupcakes might just be my new favourites. The smell when you take them out of the oven is just incredible. Finally, to the dry ingredients, add a large pinch of salt. It really helps to round out all of the flavours, and using a wooden spoon, just combine everything together and set to the side. In a smaller clean bowl, you'll need to add your pumpkin puree, a cup or 250 grams worth. This pumpkin puree can be freshly made, frozen or tinned, whatever is most convenient for you. This is also such a great way to use up any leftover pumpkin you may have. Just throw it in the blender once it has been cooked. To the pumpkin, we're going to add the eggs. You'll need 2 large eggs. Make sure these are at room temperature, so if you store your eggs in the fridge like I do, just remove them about an hour or so before you start baking. Just crack both of these straight into the bowl. To sweeten these cupcakes up and give another depth of flavour, we'll need brown sugar. You can substitute with white sugar here if that's all you have on hand, but white sugar just provides sweetness, no flavour. Using the brown sugar, you'll get the perfect caramelly molasses undertones to the cupcakes, and with those spices, it's the perfect combination. Add the brown sugar to the bowl, a cup or 200 grams worth. We need 2/3 of a cup or 170 ml of a flavourless oil like sunflower or canola. Just make sure to stay away from something like olive oil, as you don't want the flavour running through your cupcakes. Lastly, add a touch of vanilla, about half a teaspoon, and using a whisk give the ingredients a good mix until they are well combined. Pour the wet ingredients into the bowl with the dry ingredients, and using a wooden spoon, fold the batter together. This is quite a thick batter, so stick with the spoon, not a whisk, and just fold together until you no longer see any dry flour. Overmixing these cupcakes will easily turn them tough and dry, both of which we don't want. Grease or line a 12 cup cupcake tin with paper liners and fill with the pumpkin batter 2/3 of the way full. You can use a cookie scoop for this to evenly fill each cup, or if you don't have one, a 1/4 cup measuring scoop works just as well. Bake the cupcakes in a 180°C or 375°F oven for 15 minutes or until the cupcakes spring back when lightly pressed or a skewer inserted into the centre comes out clean. Cool the cupcakes in the tin for 5 minutes before transferring them to a wire rack. Cool completely before decorating. These cupcakes, in my opinion, pair perfectly with cream cheese frosting, so I'll share with you how to make the perfect batch. In a large bowl if you're using a hand mixer, or in the bowl of your stand mixer, add room temperature butter. Mix on high speed for 4 to 5 minutes until the butter has almost doubled in volume and is pale and light in colour. This will make sure your cream cheese frosting isn't yellow and is fluffy and creamy in texture. Many cream cheese recipes I've tried in the past don't call for butter, but I've found these have trouble getting thick and stable enough to be piped. Just using cream cheese, it has no structure to it and falls almost instantly. This isn't a large amount of butter, so it doesn't affect the taste whatsoever of the cream cheese frosting. When your butter has doubled in volume, add in the room temperature cream cheese. When you're making any type of frosting or icing, or baking in general, especially when it uses dairy, make sure it is at room temperature. Adding the cream cheese straight from the fridge here, you'll see it turn from silky smooth to bumpy, broken and separated. Mix the butter and cream cheese together for a minute or so, just until they are combined and the mixture has a whipped consistency. Use a spatula to run down the sides of the bowl a few times just to make sure everything is evenly combined. If you don't want to use cream cheese frosting for these cupcakes, another option is a brown sugar buttercream that would come in at a very close second in my opinion. I'll have that recipe linked below. Another thing to remember when making this is to never go for light, fat reduced or spreadable cream cheese. You'll just be setting yourself up for failure. Next is icing sugar, confectioner's sugar or powdered sugar. I get asked all the time, but all of these ingredients are the exact same thing, just different names depending on where you live in the world. You'll need 3 cups or 375 grams. I would recommend to sift it first, or at least run your whisk through it, as it does have a tendency for clumping up. Add your sugar in thirds to the butter and cream cheese, mixing on medium speed for about a minute or until combined before adding the next lot. Make sure to scrape down your bowl a few times to get all of the sugar. One last tip I have for your cream cheese frosting is to throw it in the fridge just for 20 minutes or so to firm up the slightest. We've used softened butter and cream cheese and whipped them up, so letting them rest will help hold their shape. When your cupcakes are completely cool and your cream cheese frosting is ready, you can start to decorate. You can either pipe this on or use an offset spatula or butter knife to apply the frosting to the cupcakes. I'm using a piping bag fitted with a Wilton 2D tip, which is my most used and favourite piping tip. Fill the piping bag 2/3 full and twist the end up. Pipe a generous amount of cream cheese frosting on each of your cupcakes and sprinkle over a mix of sugar and cinnamon. These cupcakes will stay fresh in an airtight container for about 3 days if you make them last that long. Let me know if there are any other pumpkin flavoured recipes you would like to see here on my channel, and make sure to subscribe for a new video each week. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.